Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. Now today we have a 2006 Vauxhall Vivaro van behind us. The same as the Opel, same as the Renault, just depends where you live in the world to what they're actually called. In Ireland these are called Opels, in the UK they're called Vauxhalls, but you've also got the Renault version, which is more or less exactly the same. What we've got to do on this today is the alternator. Now, what happened to it is we got the battery light flashing and the stop light flashing. It's a common problem on these. There is a clutch wheel on the alternator and that is seized. And the reason why I know it's seized is because I can smell burning rubber. And not only that, when we turn the van off and turn it back on again, it wouldn't start. So there was no charge going in the battery at all. Now, you have to get it from underneath. They are quite awkward. I'm going to try and get the camera in as best I can, but I'm going to struggle a little bit with angles. But we need to get it here, and anyway, crack on. Right, hopefully you can kind of see this. This rail here is what holds the radiator on. It holds the air conditioning rad on. We need to take it off just to get out of the way. We're not taking the radiator down, but we just need to take this off to get out of the way. We also need to take the AC unit off. Again, we're not disconnecting it, we're just taking it out of the way. So, first thing I want to do is just remove these two little clips. That just holds the radiator onto the bottom of this. So just remove the clip, the washer and the little rubber. Little rubbers maybe all the way through. Do the same with this one. There we go, remove them two. Now I don't know if I can get both of them on camera. We've got a bolt here and a bolt just here where my other hand is. They're a 16mm bolt. That's what actually holds this frame onto the car. So remove these two. So once you remove the two 16mm bolts, this should just kind of slide off. Right, we have just the air conditioning pipe holding on. Right, I think I'll take this off just to get it out of my way. I can see a lot more now, but I'm just, for the sake of one bolt here, which you're not going to be able to see, I'm just going to take it off. It's a 13mm, and it just means it's just going to take this bar out of my way and make my life that bit easier. So it was just actually, get that on camera, just there, 13mm bolt, and it was just holding the air conditioning pipe on. But like I said, the radiator and everything will stay in place. We don't need to remove it, we just need to take this off just to give us that little bit more room. This is all broke, but again, it doesn't matter, just get that out of the way. There we go. So it's not hanging down. Right, I'm going to try and get this as best I can, but it is going to be tight. Before you actually do anything, the thing I did forget to mention is make sure you disconnect your battery. That's very important, because these live wires, you don't want them dangling because they could pop fuses and do all sorts. Now the alternator is on top of this AC unit. I'm not going to disconnect the AC pipes, I'm just going to disconnect the unit and kind of leave it hanging. Well, I'm going to tie it up some way, but I'm not going to disconnect the pipes. If you disconnect the pipes, you're going to lose all the refrigerant inside. It means you're going to have to top it up, and it's going to be quite expensive. I can see a little clip here for the AC unit, so I'm just going to unclip that where I can. Well, I say I am. I'm obviously not. Right, I'm going to get, looks like a 13mm. There's going to be either 2 or 3 bolts on this. Yeah, it's a 13mm. There might just be 2 on it, I'm not sure. There could be 3 on it. Feels like there's only 2. It's going to get a small extension, and hopefully I'll be able to reach this one at the top. I can only feel it, I can't actually see it. No, the small extension isn't going to work. Right, I think I've now got it. I've got something anyway. Right, what I'm actually going to use once I've cracked the bolts is my little air tool, because it's so much bloody quicker. If I actually loosen the right one. This could be, no, I think it's the right one. But is there another bolt? Yeah, there's another bolt, so there's 3 bolts. So I'm going to crack it with by hand, and then I say that, everything's just in the way. This is so awkward. Just changed to a long reach 13 socket which means I can get in that little bit further and hopefully get in enough to get this bolt off. But the problem is to try and get into it and feel where it is and then film it is just an absolute nightmare. Now I think, am I on it? No, we have the top AC pipe in my way. This is just a joke. Right, I think I'm on it. Yep. This is why you need so many different tools and different lengths and different sizes and all sorts, because nothing is ever the same. Alright, I'm going to use the air tool now because I can't be arsed. Haha! I win! Right, hopefully I'm not going to get too much in the way of this. Now, I've loosened the 4 or the 3 bolts. I should hopefully be able to get this, fan belt off, because now it's loose. You can loosen the tensioner, obviously, but I don't think there's any need. Now, I'm hoping this is going to come down enough. Right, it will and it won't. The thing is now, there's no way I can actually show you the alternator because I just cannot get this out of the way. The air conditioner isn't working on this, but I could take them pipes off, but that could also cause problems. So I just want to check the fan belt. The fan belt might not show on camera, but it is kind of scorched and burnt looking, so that would suggest a seized clutch. Well, I don't think the clutch is actually seized. I think a bearing's gone. It feels really rough. Is there any way I can get this off and actually show you? I don't think there is. There's only 2 bolts holding on the alternator, but as you can see, it's right up in there, just in the way. Right, I'm going to actually take off the AC compressor to get out of the way. Now, if your AC is working, I would not suggest you do it this way. This is the wrong way of doing it, because what you're going to get is you're going to get a big pressure and all this horrible fluid is going to come out. It will get everywhere and it's really, really dangerous. This AC unit, well, there's no, the AC in the van isn't working, but that still doesn't mean we've got no fluid in here. So we still might. So what I'm going to have to do, I've opened it, it's the 10mm. Nothing's leaking out at the minute, which does suggest there's nothing in it. But be very, very careful. There is a thing on top where you can actually drain the fluid properly, like a bleed nipple almost. But I would be doing it that way if the AC was working. What I'm going to do is just move the camera out of the way, just in case there decides to be stuff in it, because the last thing I want is to go all over the camera. It's a bit right, it's stuck. I will just release the other one as well, just to give me that little bit more leverage, but I can't because that one's now in the way. So just kind of lever it out. There's going to be a little seal in here, and this little seal is still sealed. So now, as we can see, absolutely nothing came out of there. Kind of what I thought, but it's still, you want to be careful. I will be putting it back, and most will be doing a recharge video on how to recharge your AC unit. I've disconnected the power going to it, so hopefully now this should just be simple enough to take this one out. And it just isn't. It doesn't want to come out. If the AC unit was working, or should I say if there was refrigerant in it, I wouldn't be doing it this way. And I certainly wouldn't be doing it this way if I was filming. The reason why I'm doing it is so you can see the alternator. It's going to make it a lot easier for filming. Now, that's the AC unit out. Got a little drip there, so let's just push that out of the way. Make sure it doesn't get in our way now, because that is one of the reasons for taking all this off, to make it easier for us. Now hopefully we can see, maybe not, but where my hand is the actual alternator. Now with 2 bolts, one I can feel okay, and this one is on an idler wheel, so I'm going to have to remove the idler wheel to remove that bolt. You can see that there. Just bring the torch a bit closer. I can't hook this anywhere, unfortunately. But as you can see now, there is the alternator. This is the idler wheel. Again, hopefully you can see that. This is the idler wheel I'm talking about. So we need to take that off before we can undo the bolts. And then it's just one wire, one clip, and the alternator is out. Obviously, if you don't have air conditioning, this is what you're going to see underneath. It's going to be a lot easier. 13 mil. Now what you have to be careful of is, again, the camera's not going to show it, but if you screw this bolt out too much, you're going to hit the leg of the van and you're not going to be able to get the ratchet off. So be careful how you actually do this, so you don't trap yourself. This is where ratchet spanners come in handy, because obviously they're a lot thinner than a ratchet and they're not going to get caught. Now it's stuck on, does not want to come off without a fight. Now there we go. So that's the idler wheel I was telling you about. That releases the 13 mil bolt on the bottom of the alternator. The other bolt was never trapped. Now once you've got everything off, it's a good time to check all the other pulleys, just to make sure there's no play and they don't sound bad. Obviously you can't turn the one bottom crank, but I'm just turning the automatic tensioner and that feels good, so we don't have to replace that. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to crack them by hand, and then I'm going to use the air tool to take them out the rest of the way. I haven't released any of the wires yet, just depending. You can sometimes, depending on the vehicle, but it's going to be easier, I reckon, for me to do it when I get this hanging down. But I'm just going to crack both of these now, then I'm going to double check. They're good enough to use the air tool on them now. But I'm just going to check here to see what's going to be the easiest for me to do. I can release the wire, the actual plug. So again, I can't show you, but once you're doing it, it's going to be obvious. It's just a single plug with a single wire, and then there's another 13 mil bolt which holds the main power wire. This is why you need to disconnect your battery, because that, if you don't, that is going to be powered, and if it touches off anything, it could spark and it could pop fuses. It can do all sorts. So you want to make sure your battery is disconnected before you do that. I think, to be fair, I'm going to do that now. Now, if you haven't disconnected your battery, even putting a socket or a ratchet or anything on it, this all then becomes live. It's not going to do anything to you, but again, if you're ratcheting it off and you hit something, it's going to spark. So this is why you need everything disconnected. It's just a lot better for you. Now this looks really rusty, which isn't good either for the battery, for it to be charging properly, regardless whether it was working or not. Hopefully I'm not getting in the way of the camera. Well, I've got it off, but as you can see, the bolt is very rusty. So it's no harm once you take it off to actually clean the main wire, so clean the connection before you put the new one on, just to give it a proper connection and make sure it's going to send all the voltage to the battery. Now, the lovely air tools. It just makes things so much easier. There's one of the bolts, quite long as you can see. This is why you need air tools. And there's the bottom one. Now the bottom one won't come out all the way, but that doesn't matter. What you're not going to be able to see is there's a special slit cut in to the mounting. Because this bolt can't come out all the way, it will allow me to slide it past. So what you have to make sure is when you're putting the alternator in, you actually put this bolt in first, because otherwise you won't get it in. And the reason it hasn't actually fallen down, again, I'll show you once I get it out. There'll be two little kind of locking things, and I'll show you once I take it out. So it's got a lever bar, and very gently I'm levering it out. Now, there we go. That bolt will now come out, and now I will try and show this thing. It's going to show on the camera where my hand is. Maybe not. Right here where my hand is, there's a little slit. I don't know if that's going to be shown, but if you can see it, there it is. So this is now the actual alternator. This is the top clip I was talking about, and this is the one we've just taken out. Now, there is a clutch inside here. Now, to be fair, the clutch is actually moving, but yeah, the alternator is seized. I don't know. It's taken me a lot to turn it. And actually turning it now, all that's moving is the clutch. The alternator isn't actually moving. So there you go. So this alternator is seized. I thought the clutch was gone, but the actual clutch is the only thing that's working. But the alternator is seized. So we're going to get this reconditioned and bang it back in. Now, as you can see, we've got a brand new one. It spins. I'm actually spinning the clutch. I don't know if you can still see it inside. It's still moving, even though the clutch, when I stop the clutch, you can still kind of moving. There's a special clutch inside this pulley. Anyway, we're going to stick it back in, and I'm going to struggle with camera angles. Hopefully now from this angle you're going to see I might get in the way. There's nothing I can really do about it. It's just up here there's going to be a couple of bolts I need to put in, and let's hope I can do it without getting in the way too much. And if you remember, on the bottom one we need to put the bolt in first, because otherwise we won't get it in. So I'm just going to put the bolt in it first, as you can see, just like that, and hopefully we'll get this baby in without too much problems or too many swear words. But you can never say that, especially about swearing, when it comes to mechanicking. Right, that's kind of in place. I just need to put the top bolt on to hold it in place. Oh, I think I'm just getting in the way of everything. Anyway, the alternator is more or less in place. Hopefully you can see that. What I'm going to do is just going to tighten these two bolts up. I'm not going to be able to show it because I'm just getting in the way. Once I've got them two bolts tightened up, we'll turn the camera back on. Right, hopefully now you can see it a bit better. There's the new alternator. We had the bottom bolt here. This was a little slit I was talking about, and you have exactly the same at the top. Now, one thing is important to note, in these alternators is that there's a special spacer that slides in and out of this arm, and when you can just see the end of the spacer there. As you tighten the bolt, you pull that spacer in. So you make sure you have tightened them proper and you've pulled the spacer in. Now on this side you can just see, hopefully you can just see, maybe not. Here we've got the two connections, one for the main power. Oh no, I just can't get it in, unfortunately. Anyway, you can just see this wire here, that's the clip wire it goes in, and then just where my finger is, I can just get to it maybe. Just here where my finger is, no you can't quite see, that's where the main power goes. So I'm going to connect them two, and then once I got them in, we'll show you that. Them two connections in, and hopefully now you can see we've got one bolt here and two bolts where my fingers are, everything's getting in the way. One there and one across here. That's the air conditioning unit. This is the wires going to the air conditioning unit, and this is obviously the two air conditioner pipes. And as you look at on the floor, you can see the three holes I'm talking about where the bolts go through. Again, I'm not going to be able to film it, I'm just going to get in the way, but you can see the three bolts. We're going to bang that in. The bolts we put in at the minute have all been 13mm. The three bolts for the air conditioner are also 13mm. Last thing I've put on before I put the air conditioning unit back in, I've just put this little pulley wheel on here. It's an idler wheel, 13mm bolt. You have to take that off, remember, to take the bottom alternator bolt out. Now I'm going to stick on the AC unit. It's on here for the AC pipes. I've also managed to get the fan belt, and as you can see, like I said, there's just no room. I'm just really struggling with angles, so I do apologise. Anyone out there wants to be my cameraman and who'll work for free, hit me up, come down and we'll be sorted. It's just, I just cannot get angles on it and try and put things in and film it at the same time. And you can see the fan belts on. So essentially all that's left is to put the big bar across here, which holds the bottom of the rad in, which you can just see there. Start this up and see what happens. Check the battery's charging, make sure the light's gone off, make sure there's no smoke, no funny noise, and then we'll be done. Tighten by hand. Right, we are now good to go. We should be able to start this and see what happens. Just double checked everything looks good. Just going to turn the ignition on. There's a most probably I'm going to have to jump start this, but let's see. Just as I thought. I'll get the jump leads on and we'll try it again. Right, so let's see what happens now. I have to leave it on for a little bit longer. Now, third time lucky. Yay! As we can see, the stop light's gone off and also the alternator or the battery light has gone off. It all sounds good. Not gonna be able to see anything from here, but it all sounds good. So it's just a case of now checking the alternator just to be 100% sure it's charging, and then we're good to go. Right, so now we'll check, see if it's charging. And as we can see, 14.3 volts. So we know it's charging. The battery's going to be low, so it's going to be pumping a lot of voltage in. And yeah, that's sorted. It's a job done. Look, hope it helps. Thumbs up and subscribe. Don't forget, but most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one.